When I was pregnant, my cruel mother-in-law slapped me so hard that I felt dizzy and hit the wall. She demanded I give her my $75,000 worth of family jewelry, threatening divorce if I refused. To my pain, my husband took her side and didn't support me. But I wasn't someone who gave up easily. Determined to stand up for myself and get justice, I secretly made a plan. I took them to court, and the court's decision shocked everyone. My name is Mia, and at 33 years old, I had built a life I was proud of. As a financial consultant in Austin, I had worked tirelessly to achieve success and save up for my dream home. The house was worth $2 million, not just a financial investment, but a symbol of my independence and determination. When I met Liam, a 36-year-old project manager, I thought I had found the missing piece of my life. He was charming, kind, and seemed supportive of my career-driven mindset. Our relationship blossomed quickly, and within a year, we were married in a beautiful ceremony surrounded by family and friends. After the wedding, Liam moved into my home, and for a while, everything felt perfect. We shared laughter, made plans for the future, and built memories in the house I had worked so hard to buy. I thought we were creating the life I had always dreamed of. But as time passed, cracks began to appear. Liam's mother, Beth, started visiting more frequently. At first, I welcomed her, thinking she was simply trying to bond with me. But her visits soon became a regular intrusion. She was 62, retired, and seemed to have made it her mission to scrutinize every aspect of my life. "Mia, those curtains are far too plain for a house like this," she remarked one afternoon, her tone dripping with judgment. "You should consider something more elegant. After all, this is Liam's house now too." Her words stung. This was my home, bought with my hard-earned money, but I held my tongue, thinking it was better to avoid conflict. I hoped she would adjust, and that things would get better over time. I couldn't have been more wrong. Beth's visits soon became a daily occurrence. Each time she walked through the door, it felt like she was inspecting my life, searching for flaws to criticize. Nothing was ever good enough, my choice of furniture, the way I cooked, even the way I organized the pantry. "Why do you keep the plates there, Mia? It's so impractical," she scoffed one day, as if she owned the place. "You really should think about how to make this house more functional for Liam." Her comments weren't just annoying, they were belittling. I began to feel like a stranger in my own home. But what hurt the most was Liam's response, or a lack of one. Whenever I tried to bring up how uncomfortable Beth's constant presence made me, he would shrug it off. "She's just trying to help," he'd say dismissively. "That's how she is. You'll get used to it." I bit my tongue, trying to keep the peace. After all, Beth was his mother, and I didn't want to create tension in our marriage. But the situation only worsened. Just when I thought things couldn't get any more overwhelming, I discovered I was pregnant. The news filled me with a mix of joy and apprehension. I had always dreamed of becoming a mother, and I hoped that this baby would bring Liam and me closer together. But when I told Liam the news, his reaction was muted. "That's great," he said with a small smile, but there was no real excitement in his voice. When we told Beth, her response was even colder. "You'll need to be careful about your diet now," she said matter-of-factly. "We don't want any unnecessary weight gain or complications." Her words stung, but I kept quiet. I was determined to focus on the happiness of bringing a new life into the world. Unfortunately, Beth's presence made it nearly impossible to enjoy my pregnancy. She started taking even more liberties, treating the house as if it were hers. One evening, I came home from a long day at work to find her rearranging the furniture in the living room. "Beth, what are you doing?" I asked, trying to keep my tone polite. "Oh, just making it more comfortable for Liam," she replied with a dismissive wave of her hand. "You really should think about what's best for the family, Mia." Her words sent a chill down my spine. This wasn't just about her opinions anymore. Beth was trying to take control of my life. Beth's dominance over my home and my life reached its peak one evening when I returned home from a prenatal appointment. I was physically exhausted and emotionally drained, hoping for a quiet evening. Instead, I walked into a storm brewing in my own living room. Beth was sitting on the couch with a small wooden box in her lap. My heart dropped when I realized what it was: my heirloom jewelry, a collection of gold and gemstone pieces worth $75,000, passed down from my grandmother. It wasn't just valuable, it was a piece of my family's history and one of the few things I had left from my childhood. "Beth, what are you doing with that?" I asked, setting my bag down and walking toward her. She looked up, her face calm, but her tone sharp. "Mia, I've been thinking about Liam's future. His business has been struggling, and selling this jewelry could give him the boost he needs to turn things around. It's the least you can do for your husband." The audacity of her words stunned me. "This jewelry isn't just valuable, it's sentimental," I said firmly. "It belonged to my grandmother. I'm not selling it." Beth's expression shifted instantly, her calm facade cracking. "Sentimental? Do you think sentimentality will pay the bills, Mia, or secure your baby's future? You're about to become a mother, and it's time you start thinking about what's best for this family." Her voice was rising, and I could feel my heart pounding in anger. I clutched my belly protectively, standing my ground. "Liam's business isn't my responsibility, Beth, and this jewelry isn't up for discussion. It's staying right where it belongs." Her eyes narrowed, her tone turning venomous. "You selfish girl. After everything Liam has done for you, you can't even make this one small sacrifice. What kind of wife are you?" "I'm the kind of wife who refuses to be manipulated," I shot back, my voice trembling but resolute. And that's when it happened. Beth shot up from the couch and slapped me across the face. The force of it sent me staggering back into the wall. Pain radiated through my cheek, and I gasped, instinctively wrapping my arms around my belly as fear coursed through me. My vision blurred for a moment as I steadied myself, my heart racing. "You don't deserve this jewelry, or this house," Beth snarled, her voice shaking with rage. "This is Liam's home now, and you're just lucky we let you live here." I turned my gaze to Liam, who had been standing silently in the doorway the entire time. His expression was blank, and he made no move to stop his mother or defend me. My voice cracked as I addressed him. "Liam, how can you stand there and let this happen? I'm your wife. I'm pregnant with your child." He looked away, his voice low and indifferent. "Mom's just trying to help Mia. You're the one making things difficult." Those words shattered the last shred of hope I had in him. I realized, in that moment, that I was truly alone in this house. Neither Liam nor Beth cared about me. They only cared about what I could give them. With tears streaming down my face, I pushed myself off the wall and walked away, retreating to the bedroom. I locked the door behind me, sank to the floor, and cradled my belly. My heart was breaking, but deep inside, a fire was igniting. They thought they could control me, but they had underestimated me. The next morning, I packed a small bag with the essentials and walked out of the house I had once called my sanctuary. Beth and Liam didn't try to stop me. If anything, they seemed indifferent, as if they thought I would come crawling back. But I wasn't walking away in defeat. I was leaving to fight for myself and my unborn child. I drove straight to my parents' home on the outskirts of San Antonio, the city where I had grown up. As I pulled into their driveway, a wave of relief washed over me. This house, filled with childhood memories and the warmth of unconditional love, felt like the safest place in the world. My mother, a retired nurse, opened the door and immediately noticed the swelling on my cheek. "Mia, what happened?" she exclaimed, pulling me into a protective hug. I couldn't hold back the tears any longer. As we sat down in the living room, I told her and my father, a former firefighter, everything: Beth's constant belittling, Liam's indifference, and finally, the slap that had pushed me to leave. My father's face darkened as I spoke, his fists clenching. "She put her hands on you while you're pregnant? That's not just wrong, that's criminal, he said firmly. My mother, always the calm voice of reason, took my hand in hers. You've done the right thing by leaving Mia. You need to protect yourself and the baby. What do you want to do next? I wiped my tears, my voice trembling but determined. I want my house back. I want to make sure they can never hurt me or my child again. My father nodded. Then we fight. You're not alone in this, Mia. We're with you every step of the way. That night, I reached out to my closest friend from college, Ava, who had become a successful family lawyer. She answered on the first ring. Mia, it's so good to hear from you. What's going on? As I explained everything, Ava's tone shifted from friendly to serious. Mia, I'm so sorry you've been going through this, but you're doing the right thing by standing up for yourself. We'll fight this. The first step is filing for divorce and establishing your legal rights. Her confidence was reassuring. Do you think I have a strong case? I asked. Absolutely, Ava replied. The physical assault alone is grounds for serious action, especially given your pregnancy. We'll also document the emotional abuse and their attempts to control your finances. They don't have a leg to stand on. Over the next few days, Ava and I worked tirelessly to build my case. I started documenting everything, the texts from Beth, the voicemails, and most importantly, the night she slapped me. My parents also wrote statements about my condition when I arrived at their house, providing additional evidence. It wasn't easy. Reliving those moments of pain and betrayal felt like reopening old wounds. But I reminded myself why I was doing this, for my safety, for my baby's future, and for my right to live without fear. One evening, as I sat at the dining table reviewing documents with Ava, my father came over and placed a steady hand on my shoulder. You're stronger than you think, Mia. Don't let them take away what you've built. His words filled me with resolve. I wasn't just fighting to win a court battle, I was fighting to take back my life. The next morning, I accompanied Ava to her office to officially file for divorce. My hands trembled slightly as I signed the paperwork, but the fear I felt was overshadowed by a sense of determination. This wasn't just about ending my marriage. It was about reclaiming my life and ensuring the safety of my unborn child. Ava was methodical as she outlined the legal process. We're going to file for full ownership of the house, full custody of your child, and a restraining order against Beth. Given the evidence of abuse, I'm confident we have a strong case. I nodded, grateful for her guidance. Thank you, Ava. I want to make sure they can't manipulate me, or my child, ever again. Over the next few weeks, Ava and I worked tirelessly to gather evidence. Every text message from Beth that undermined me, every voicemail where she tried to assert control, and the medical report documenting the bruise on my cheek. All of it was compiled into a comprehensive case. My parents also provided sworn statements about my condition when I arrived at their home, bolstering the narrative of abuse. Reliving those moments wasn't easy. As I read through the texts and replayed the voicemails, I felt a mix of anger and sadness. How had my life with Liam, which started with so much promise, devolved into this? But each piece of evidence reminded me of why I was fighting. I wasn't just standing up for myself, I was fighting for my baby's future. One evening, as we prepared for the court hearing, Ava shared a piece of advice that stayed with me. Mia, courtrooms can be intimidating, but remember, you have the truth on your side. Don't be afraid to speak your mind and stand your ground. The day of the hearing arrived, and I felt a mix of nerves and determination as I stepped into the courthouse. My parents walked in with me, their presence a steady source of support. Ava met us inside, her confidence reassuring. As we entered the courtroom, my heart skipped a beat when I saw Liam and Beth seated across the room. Liam looked tense, his jaw clenched, while Beth's expression was cold and calculating. I took a deep breath, reminding myself that I wasn't the same person they had tried to manipulate. I was stronger now. The judge, a composed woman in her 50s, entered the courtroom and called the case to order. Ava rose to deliver our opening argument, her voice clear and commanding. Your Honor, my client Mia has endured months of emotional and physical abuse at the hands of her husband, Liam, and his mother, Beth. This abuse escalated to physical violence while she was pregnant, endangering both her and her unborn child. We are requesting full ownership of her home, full custody of her child, and legal consequences for the defendant's actions. Eva presented our evidence meticulously, walking the judge through the texts, voicemails, and the medical report. She highlighted Beth's pattern of controlling behavior and Liam's failure to protect me, framing it as a clear case of abuse and neglect. Liam's lawyer stood to respond, attempting to downplay the allegations. Your Honor, this is a case of miscommunication and family tension. Beth's actions were misinterpreted, and there is no substantial proof of malicious intent. As he spoke, I clenched my fists under the table, anger bubbling at the audacity of his words. But I kept my focus, knowing Ava would counter every argument with facts. When it was my turn to testify, I took a deep breath and walked to the stand. I glanced at my parents, who nodded encouragingly, and then began to speak. Your Honor, this isn't just about a family disagreement. It's about control. From the moment Beth moved into my home, she systematically tried to undermine me. When I refused to sell my family's heirloom jewelry, she physically assaulted me, causing me to hit the wall. Liam stood by and did nothing. I feared for my safety and the safety of my unborn child, and that's why I left. My voice trembled slightly as I recounted the night Beth slapped me, but I held my ground. I spoke about the emotional toll of their manipulation and how it left me feeling isolated in my own home. As I finished, the courtroom fell silent, the weight of my words hanging in the air. The courtroom remained silent after my testimony, the weight of my words sinking into the room. I glanced at the judge, who was scribbling notes with a furrowed brow. Liam sat stiffly in his chair, avoiding my gaze, while Beth's face twisted in a mixture of defiance and contempt. Eva rose again, her voice steady as she addressed the court. Your Honor, the evidence and testimony provided by my client show a clear pattern of emotional abuse, manipulation, and physical violence. This is not just a marital disagreement, it is a deliberate attempt to strip Mia of her autonomy and place her and her unborn child in harm's way. We urge the court to grant her full ownership of her home, full custody of her child, and protective measures against further interference. The judge nodded slightly, acknowledging Ava's statement before motioning for Liam's lawyer to respond. He stood, adjusting his tie before speaking. Your Honor, while we sympathize with Mia's position, we must emphasize that family tensions are often mischaracterized. Beth's intentions were never malicious, and the alleged physical altercation has been exaggerated. Additionally, Liam has consistently supported Mia, contrary to her claims. I couldn't help but scoff silently at his words. Supported me? Liam hadn't lifted a finger to stop his mother from invading my life, let alone defend me when she assaulted me. Ava stood again, ready to counter. Your Honor, we have a medical report confirming the injuries Mia sustained the night Beth assaulted her. Additionally, the text messages and voicemails presented in evidence show a pattern of intimidation and control. These are not the actions of a family simply experiencing tension, they are calculated acts of abuse. The judge looked up, her expression stern. I've reviewed the evidence and heard the testimonies. The actions described here go far beyond typical family disagreements. Beth's behavior, especially the physical assault, is particularly troubling. Let us proceed to closing statements. Ava delivered a powerful closing statement, emphasizing the danger Beth posed to both me and my unborn child. Your Honor, this case is about protecting the rights and safety of my client, Mia, and ensuring that she can raise her child in a secure and supportive environment. We ask the court to take firm action to prevent further harm. Liam's lawyer gave a less compelling statement, reiterating his claim that the situation had been misinterpreted. It was clear to me, and, I hoped, to the judge, that they were grasping at straws. After a brief recess, the judge returned to the bench. The room was silent as she began to speak. After reviewing the evidence and hearing the testimonies, it is clear to this court that Mia has been subjected to a pattern of emotional abuse and manipulation by Beth, with Liam's complicity. Furthermore, the physical assault described and corroborated by medical evidence is unacceptable and endangers not only Mia, but her unborn child. My breath caught as the judge continued. Therefore, I am granting Mia full ownership of the home. Liam will have no claim to the property. Additionally, Mia will have full custody of the child, and Beth is ordered to stay away from Mia under a restraining order. Liam and Beth will face financial penalties for their actions, including compensation for Mia's legal expenses. The words felt like a weight lifting off my shoulders. I turned to Ava, who gave me a reassuring smile. My parents squeezed my hands on either side of me, their pride and relief evident. As we left the courtroom, I glanced back at Beth and Liam. Beth's face was pale with anger, her usual smugness replaced by disbelief. Liam sat motionless, staring blankly ahead. It was clear they hadn't expected this outcome. Ava leaned in as we walked out. "You did it, Mia. You stood up for yourself, and the court saw the truth. This is your victory." I nodded, a mix of emotions swirling inside me. Relief, empowerment, and a renewed sense of strength filled my heart. This battle was over, but it marked the beginning of a new chapter in my life. The days following the court's verdict felt like stepping into a new world. For the first time in months, I didn't feel the weight of Beth and Liam's control looming over me. I returned to my home, a house that was now truly mine, and began the process of reclaiming my space in my life. The first thing I did was rearrange the living room, erasing the remnants of Beth's unwanted influence. The furniture she had insisted on moving stayed where I wanted it. I boxed up everything that reminded me of her or Liam and donated it. It was cathartic, as though I was purging the negativity from my life. I spent the following weeks preparing for the arrival of my baby. I turned one of the upstairs bedrooms into a nursery, painting the walls a soft, sunny yellow and filling it with books, toys, and baby supplies. As I worked, I couldn't help but smile, imagining the life my child and I would build together, one filled with love, safety, and freedom. My parents visited frequently, bringing home-cooked meals and helping me set up the nursery. Their unwavering support reminded me that I was never truly alone. My father, in particular, took great pride in assembling the crib, joking that he was preparing his grandchild for years of safe naps. Ava remained a steady presence in my life, not just as my lawyer, but as a close friend. One evening, as we sat in the newly decorated living room sipping tea, she said, "Mia, you've come so far. I'm proud of you. You didn't just win a court case, you took your life back." Her words stayed with me, filling me with a sense of pride and accomplishment. I had faced one of the darkest periods of my life and emerged stronger. One quiet evening, as I sat in the nursery rocking chair, I placed a hand on my growing belly. "We did it," I whispered to my baby. "We're safe now, and I promise you, we'll build a life filled with love and kindness. You'll never have to grow up in fear or control." The house was peaceful, the kind of peace I hadn't felt in months. It was a fresh start, not just for me, but for the family I was about to create. I realized that Liam and Beth's betrayal hadn't broken me. It had taught me my own strength, resilience, and the importance of standing up for what I deserved. As the weeks turned into months, I prepared for single motherhood with a sense of excitement and determination. My home became a safe haven, filled with warmth and hope for the future. I enrolled in prenatal classes, reconnected with old friends, and focused on rebuilding my career. Every time I walked through the front door of my house, I felt a renewed sense of pride. This was my home, and it symbolized everything I had fought for: my independence, my freedom, and my right to live without fear. Months passed, and as the seasons changed, so did my life. On a crisp spring morning, I welcomed my baby, a beautiful, healthy boy I named Ethan. Holding him in my arms for the first time, I felt a surge of love so profound it brought tears to my eyes. This tiny human was my entire world, and I promised to give him a life filled with love, safety, and respect. My parents were overjoyed, quickly stepping into their roles as doting grandparents. My father, ever the protector, joked about teaching Ethan how to be strong and stand up for himself. My mother spoiled him with handmade blankets and tiny knitted hats, her warmth a constant presence in our lives. With Ethan in my arms, I began to rediscover the simple joys of life. Each day was a new adventure: his first smile, his tiny fingers wrapping around mine, the peaceful moments as he slept in my arms. These moments reminded me that the darkness I had endured was behind me, and the future was bright. I continued my work as a financial consultant, finding new clients and rebuilding my career. Balancing work and motherhood wasn't easy, but it was fulfilling. Every achievement, no matter how small, felt like a victory, not just for me, but for the life I was creating for Ethan. As for Liam and Beth, they were no longer part of my life. The restraining order ensured Beth couldn't interfere, and Liam made no effort to reach out. Occasionally, I would hear from mutual acquaintances about their struggles, Beth's bitterness, and Liam's inability to move forward without my support. But their lives no longer concerned me. I had moved on, and I was thriving. One day, while tidying up Ethan's nursery, I came across the box of heirloom jewelry that had sparked so much conflict. I opened it, running my fingers over the delicate pieces, and smiled. These weren't just symbols of my past. They were treasures for Ethan's future. One day, I would tell him the story of how I fought to protect them, and more importantly, how I fought to protect us. As I sat in the rocking chair, cradling Ethan, I whispered to him, "You'll grow up knowing that no matter how tough life gets, you can always stand up for yourself. We'll build a life together filled with love, respect, and strength." In that moment, I realized that my journey wasn't just about reclaiming what was mine. It was about creating a legacy of resilience for my son. The house I had fought so hard to keep was now a home, and the life I had rebuilt was one filled with hope and promise. Looking out the window at the sun setting over the city, I felt at peace. This wasn't just a new chapter, it was a whole new book, and I couldn't wait to see what the future would bring. Thank you for taking the time to dive into Mia's journey of strength and resilience. Your support means the world to us, and we love hearing your thoughts about these stories. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this post to show your love, and let us know you'd like more empowering stories like this. Comment below with your thoughts, favorite moments, or even personal experiences. You never know who might find inspiration in your words. Subscribe to stay updated on all our latest content and never miss another compelling story. Your likes, comments, and subscriptions help us grow and bring you more stories filled with hope, courage, and inspiration. Let's build a community of kindness and strength together. Thank you for being part of this journey. See you in the next story.